Hi, I'm Jenna, and welcome to my garden. So I've been wanting to do a garden tour for a while, and I heard someone say, Jessica Sowards of Roots and Refuge Farm, I heard her say that often her garden tours are as much for herself as they are for YouTube, because it gives her a record of what she's done for future years. And that was amazing motivation for me to get started on doing my own garden tour. So a little bit about me and where I'm at. I'm in Ontario, Canada. My area is Zone 5B in Canadian zoning, and American zoning, I think I'm about a 4. So our frost dates are, our first frost is in beginning of May, and then our last frost is at the beginning of October. Or, sorry, reverse that. Our last frost is at the beginning of May, and our first frost is at the beginning of October. So right now it is July 11th, and things have been going really, really well. So a little bit about our garden. We took all of our neighbor has horses, and we took all of his manure that he has for his horses, and we took everything he had and we piled it up and let it break down over the winter. And then we just got this garden bed established this year. So it's a mixture of a little bit of soil, but mostly the horse manure and our wood shavings from our chicken coop. So it has been really exciting to see how well things are doing. We were really not expecting this year to go great. We thought that this year might be just an experimental year, see what happens. Stuff is still really chunky from the manure and from the chickens, and so it's not broken down quite as much as we would have liked. But stuff is still growing really amazingly, and so I really want to give you a tour and show you what's going on here. So I guess I'll start over here. So this is just kind of a wide shot of the garden, and we've also got some peppers in those black pots over there, and these 2 white IBC toads that we cut, they are my herb beds, and they're really just getting started. So I've got some stevia, I've got some fenugreek, there's fennel in here, there's calendula, there's some lemon balm. I also have some chamomile. So this one is actually my bed that I have for teas. I really want to start experimenting with doing my own teas, and I'm excited to have the stevia in here because that means that I don't have to add a sweetener. I can just have that blended right into the tea. And then this one has some parsley up in the corner over there. I've got some dill. There's coriander or cilantro, whatever you call it. I've got some Thai basil. There's some rosemary and thyme and oregano. This one is purple sage that I just rescued from the garden center at the grocery store. Everything is starting to close down, and they had everything really cheap, so I got that. With our peppers, we've got some new varieties we've never grown before, so I'm really excited about that. We've got some Jimmy Nordellos. We've got another Italian paprika type pepper. We've got lemon jalapenos. We have some cayenne. We have some Anaheim peppers as well. So we've got a nice variety, and I'm really excited to see what these peppers are like. The Jimmy Nordellos are supposed to be a really early pepper, and one of the struggles we have with here is that it takes so long to warm up that we have a hard time growing bell peppers. We just can't get to the second flush. It just takes them too long if we're not growing in a greenhouse super early in the season. And we haven't really had, other than like our little cold frame there, we don't have an established greenhouse yet. That's hopefully in the future plans, but I'm excited. We've got some little peppers on the plants here. That's really exciting. There's some more here. So hopefully in a couple weeks we'll have our first flush. We'll pick that off, and then a couple weeks after that we'll be able to get our second flush and get a lot more, and actually be able to do some preserving and stuff with those. I'm looking forward to doing some roasted and smoked peppers to put into salsas and stuff like that. So I'm excited about the peppers. So back over here we also have some barrels that we cut in half. This is my cilantro that's gone to seed, so I'm going to collect the coriander seed when we've got seed from that. We've got some lettuce. Here's some mint that I rescued again from the grocery store and charred. There's some basil here, and this is another kind of tea herbal space. There's lemon balm, fenugreek, some chamomile, some calendula. We got carrots in the back barrels there, and this one was pineapple sage, so I'm kind of excited about that. It smells really nice, and that was another rescue from the grocery store. My my coriander or cilantro, whatever you call it, kind of got taken over with weeds as well. And this one is our chives that's died back now. We already had it bloom on us. So along this bed, we've got volunteer tomatoes. They came up in spaces all over the garden, and spaces we didn't have anything else planted, we just let them go. Same with these. I'm pretty sure these are cucumbers. They look like cucumber flowers. Those were volunteers as well. So we've got volunteer cucumbers and tomatoes here. Some more volunteer tomatoes. And these were leftover peppers that we didn't have pots for, but we had space in the garden, so I popped those into the garden. Just a little bit about how we've done this garden space. We kind of followed a market garden style. So the beds are around 30 inches with about 16 to 18 inches between the beds. And they go the whole length of the garden. These were daikon radish, and I planted them too late in the season because we were just getting these beds established. I didn't get to do an early spring planting, and so when I planted the radish it was a little late in the season and it got a little too hot, so it bolted on me. But what's really cool is that there's these pods, and they actually are really tasty, so I really like those. I have a whole bunch of beets that I need to thin here. There's some young beets there, and the radish has really just taken over this area. I think it's kind of driving my husband crazy because he wants to be able to mow the lawn right beside the garden here, and the radish is making it challenging. So over there we have some cabbages and Brussels sprouts. My kids really love Brussels sprouts, so we always make sure to put some in, and we eat those for Canadian Thanksgiving, and sometimes we save some for Christmas if we can. Oh, there's some more radishes. Okay. There's a little volunteer Jill over there too. Sorry, I'm crunching on my radishes. This row has a lot of peas. So we've got sugar peas, sugar snap peas, and we've got snow peas. I planted them really densely, which I think would work, except I didn't have proper trellising. So we thought we'd try putting a wire between the two T-posts this year. And it just doesn't have enough support or structure to hold all of that weight. I think doing it this way might be okay for something like cucumbers because you don't plant it as densely, so it might not be quite as heavy. But for the peas and beans, just get planted so densely that it's too heavy. My kids have been loving the peas. They're really tasty. They're so sweet, so crunchy. It's been super good. So there's another Brussels sprout. Got some celery in here beside the beans, and so I have some yellow beans and some green beans. I did them as runners, and then our pole beans. And then this one over here, I just grabbed some of my dry beans that I cook, and I decided to try growing them, and they ended up actually being bush beans. So we'll see how those go. I'm excited to see what they do. And we've got lots of little flowers over here. I think that those are probably the black beans. They're really pretty. I really like those flowers. This bed is mostly empty, so most of this is weeds or volunteers. We do have a few cucumbers at the end. So the cucumbers are blooming. I'm so excited about that. There's so much potential growth on those. And they had a slow start. We've just had a wet, cold start to our summer. June was very wet and very cold for our area. And so they had a really slow start. The tomatoes didn't seem to do too bad though. So I'm trying to remember exactly what variety of cherry tomatoes these are. I will get that and post it. We've also got some purple Cherokees over here. This side of the garden gets a lot of shade, and so I'm going to see how purple they actually turn, because with all of these beautiful trees, it's a little more shady. It still gets its requisite amount of sunshine. Obviously, they're growing really well, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough sun to really turn them that beautiful purple that purple Cherokee is supposed to turn. It's our first year growing these, so I'm excited to try them. And we also have some great whites, so I'm excited for those as well. On the other side, we've got San Marzanos, and we got a lot of San Marzanos this year. I think I have like 19 of them, so that we can do lots of canning and preserving with those. And then a first for us this year as well is tomatillos. And they are just doing so good. Like, look at how pretty those are. Aren't those beautiful? I love them. I love them so much. So I'm excited for these. I have a friend who is so excited to be able to come and eat my tomatillos. She really likes tomatillos. So the next part of the garden, so we've got zucchini here with all these big beautiful flowers. We've had lots of the cucumber beetles around, but the zucchini was just getting demolished earlier, and now it seems to be coming back. It seems to be perking up a bit, so I'm happy about that. This one is a patty pan squash. Oops. So this one's a patty pan squash. You can see the cucumber beetles and the flowers there. Can you see those? There's a lot of them. So that's a patty pan squash. That's a first for us this year, and it seems to be doing really, really well in the garden. We've got some dragon egg cucumbers. So this one's another first for us. There's lots of firsts this year, so that's exciting. We like cucumbers at our house, most of us anyway. I've also, so I had 3, I think, of the dragon egg, and then this is a Kiku chrysanthemum melon. And this is the first time I've really tried stringing things like this. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but we'll see. And then this one is also a Kiku chrysanthemum. This one is a sugar baby watermelon. So because we have such a short growing season here, we've really tried to make sure we are choosing quick growing, smaller varieties, and seeing how those do here, because melons, it's a real struggle for us to be able to have enough time in our growing season to grow a melon without a greenhouse. And then here's a lot of pickling cucumbers. I have a feeling that these are likely a bush cucumber because I haven't been seeing any tendrils. And it didn't really tell me on the package. So I need to have a look at those again and see. But yeah, there's no tendrils on them, and they're really bushing up. So I have a feeling those are bush cucumbers and not climbing cucumber. Here we've got brassicas, there's cauliflower and broccoli and a few other, I think I've got some cabbage down at the end of the row. And this one was more peas and beans. So I did this row of peas and beans first. Green beans on one side, yellow beans on the other side, with peas in the middle. And then I had more seed than I thought. So I ended up planting the other row on the other side of the garden too. This side has onions. I've got some purple sets that someone gave me on one side. And then this side is actually all stuff I started from seed for the first time this year. So we've got Spanish onions and Walla Walla onions, some types that were green onions. But I'm excited, like they're actually growing here. This bed I've got turnips. We've already harvested some of our turnips, probably about 2/3 of them, and then I just left some of the smaller ones in to continue growing. They didn't have any sweetness to them, but again, it's summer and we're harvesting, and that's not really the ideal time. This is kohlrabi and a volunteer dill. I'm pretty sure this one's rutabaga. I did a really bad job of recording my progress in the garden this year. And this one's more kohlrabi. So it's getting bigger. And another variety of kohlrabi. Here we've got eggplants. And I don't remember other varieties. The eggplants struggled at the beginning of this year, but they're now seeming to be perking up and doing a lot better. It just, again, cold, wet June. Much colder and wetter than is normal for us. And so some of the things like cucumbers and eggplant just struggled a little, even though the tomatoes seem to do really well. I'm trying okra for the first time. So these are my 4 little okra. My family, I don't know if they're going to like them or not. I like okra. I've tried it before, and so I wanted to try growing some. So again, these ones are an early setter for fruit, so that we can actually get a harvest, because our growing season is just so short that, you know, these frost tender plants, you got to get the early setters for fruit and early maturing fruit so that you actually get a harvest. So that's my garden, and I'm really glad you were able to join me for a little tour today. It's helpful for me to be able to remember everything that I've done and just record that for future reference. But I hope that it's helpful for you as well. And if you have any questions, I'd love to hear what you might be asking or might wonder about. So take care. Bye.